So I'm going to give you various options now. We'll move right through the sun salutations later in the practice, but this is meant to give you some options which you can refer to later. We start with the feet together, and with an inhale, the arms come up over the head, and then we exhale and fold forward, lowering the head. Inhaling, look up. Now let's say in that first part when we came forward, you didn't reach the floor. That's perfectly fine. You would have just taken the hands to the legs and then lifted the head with the hands still on the legs. Either way, the next phase is taking the feet back, and it would look like this. First option I like to call floating, which is floating the feet back to this position. The second option, if floating is not happening just yet, is called jumping, which would be a slight bending of the knees so you can take the palms flat into the floor, jumping the feet back, and then lowering. That jumping method may also be too much in the beginning. So we have a stepping method. You can step with one foot and the other foot and then lower. You may find that stepping is okay, but when you try to lower, it's too much to do it slowly. If that's true, then take the knees down first, and then the chest. Choose one of those methods, and then we would come to this position. Ready for the upward dog. You keep the legs strong, the heels pointing up at the sky. Eventually, you would be hovering on the floor here. If that's not possible, you come all the way down on the floor. But do keep the legs engaged as we move forward and lift to the upward-facing dog position. The legs must be strong and pulling through the upper back and opening the heart to avoid collapsing in the lower back. If you lift and you find your shoulders coming up and your hips dropping down, you may find that this will cause lower back pain. It's much better to keep the legs strong, lifting, rolling the shoulders back, and opening the heart. Move into this over time. It might be too much in the beginning. In the beginning, maybe you won't lift quite so high. Or, if you do, you may have to keep the legs down, but do not sink in the lower back. Keep the legs strong and lift the heart as much as possible and come down. Now, from the upward-facing dog position, we move to the downward-facing dog position. You can either keep the arms straight and press back, or if you would like to have a bit more of a challenge, you would dip down this way and then move back. In this position, we would stay for 5 breaths. If while you're in the downward dog position you become fatigued, you could just come down to your knees and hands and sit back, waiting in this position until it was time to come forward again. You would straighten your legs to the downward dog position, and the way that we come forward, we have similar choices to the way we went back. The first, again, I like to call floating, which is using a slow, controlled method of taking the feet forward. Now that may be too difficult in the beginning, so we have an option of jumping, which is jumping the feet, bent knees, then straightening the legs and looking up with an inhale. If jumping is too much, then we have the choice of walking, stepping one foot, the other foot, straightening the legs, and looking up. Some of you will be pleased to know that we also have a fourth choice, which is jogging. Running the feet forward to the hands, straightening the legs, and looking up. Then exhaling, leaning forward, inhaling, standing all the way up until the hands touch, and exhale, arms to the sides. I'm going now to move through the whole first sun salutation so you can see it in an unbroken sequence. It looks like this. Inhale with the arms up. Remember your choices. You would exhale forward. Even you might have to bend your knees if you need to. Inhale, look up. Exhale, take your feet back in whichever method is appropriate and lower. Inhale, keep the legs strong as you lift. Exhale, pressing back. If you wish to dip down, that's fine. We would stay here for 5 breaths. I'm not going to stay for 5 now, but in the practice we will stay for 5 breaths. Then you continue forward in whatever method feels appropriate for you and look up with an inhale. Exhale, lower the head. Inhale, stand all the way up. You look up at your hands. The lungs are full. Exhale, arms to the sides.